Be ready, guys. 5 seconds. Start. Madam Vice Chairman, yesterday the Honorable Minister made a very strong case for his resolution. He stressed the necessity for an integrated approach to these problems. He appealed in the name of national integration to accept this proposal. He also stressed the necessity of having emotional integration through this measure. Well, I am not against having an integrated approach as far as both education and agriculture are concerned. But my fear is whether this step in the present context will at all help the integrated approach which he wants and the national integration which he is aspiring for. Now I will concentrate more on the educational service. I was thinking about this problem after I heard the Honorable Minister yesterday with my state in my mind. Our state is considered to be one of those which are so far ahead in education. But unfortunately, the situation there is not very happy. Coming to college education in our state, there are a large number of private colleges. There are a number of government colleges and there are a few colleges directly under the university. Now those college teachers who are directly under the university are considered to be blessed, few because they have a higher salary, fewer hours of work, and sometimes the number of students whom they have to teach happens to be very limited, whereas teachers with the same qualification employed in government colleges have to work 18 hours or even more and they get a meager salary. The creation of these university teachers instead of helping to integrate is causing so much of discontent among the government college teachers. Now, this creation of an All India Education Service will create another few persons who may be much better placed than either the university teachers or the government college teachers. This state of affairs, I am afraid, will create more confusion rather than help integration. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there is a third category of private college teachers. Their condition is not very much better than that of high school teachers. In some cases, their condition is worse. The pay they used to get was so low that whenever they got a better chance elsewhere, they used to leave these colleges and go. The result of this state of affairs on the education in the colleges is that their standards are very low throughout the whole country. So when I think of the integration of education in my state, leaving aside the other parts of India, I feel much more than introducing the All India Service. Some other things have to be done in our state to remove this anomaly, and I feel that as far as college education is concerned, whether it be in the private sector or in the public sector, wherever it is, the government have to take the responsibility for college education. The pay and other things have to be almost similar as far as these private colleges, government colleges and the university colleges are concerned. Unless that is done, you will not be able to integrate the educational system inside our state itself. In the final analysis, the result of the present state of affairs falls on the standard of the students. At one time, the colleges in the south, especially Tamil Nadu and Kerala, boasted themselves of having a higher standard compared to the colleges elsewhere. Now the position is entirely different. I am not speaking about Tamil Nadu. As far as my state is concerned, the standard has fallen very low and the students coming from our colleges find it very difficult to get admission in other places. Secondly, speaking about technical education, our state, though rather high as far as literacy is concerned, in the matter of technical education is lagging far behind. A few institutions in the private sector, engineering colleges and medical colleges are now permitted, but there also, because of so many factors, the standards are very low and the government have to do something by which at least the technical education is immediately taken over by the government. So to have an engineering college without the necessary appliances to teach is not only harmful to the students but it is harmful to the state itself. So also regarding the medical college, these are the things on which I would like the government to pay primary attention, and then we can think of the All India services, etc. There is another anomaly. The students passing from our High schools cannot get admission in the colleges outside our state because the entire system is different. Last year there was a lot of difficulty. Nearly 2000 students expected admission in the Mysore University. Finally, when they found that it was difficult because of the difference in the syllabus. Sir, I am a great believer in the public sector, and I have often said in this house that public ownership can take many forms, that it is not necessary for us to think in the old terms of complete nationalization. The British Labour Party has on this question done a great deal of hard thinking, and I would therefore say that it is a little disappointing to find that the returns from our public sector concerns are on the low side. Actually, I do not think that the public sector concerns should be condemned for that reason. They are new to their jobs. What about the returns that the private sector concerns give in the first few years of their existence? But we should have a high standard of efficiency in our public sector concerns, and we should make them yield good returns. If that is done, it will be possible for us also to reduce the burden of taxation on all classes of the community. I do not say that the public sector concerns should be run from a commercial point of view only. Profit is only one of the things they are meant to yield. I would in this connection say that I would like our employees, I mean the poorer classes of our employees, to be associated in some way with the management of our public sector concerns. So far as our private sector undertakings are concerned, I have been thinking in terms of co-ownership. I think I said this last year, and perhaps I am repeating it again. I think our employees should be made, or rather they should be regarded or should be given the status of shareholders, and they should have a voice in the management of the concerns they are running. They should have a voice in selecting the directors who shall run the concerns for the country. They should have the opportunity to rise to positions of managerial importance in the concerns with which they are connected. I think it is in some such way that we shall avoid the evils of what may be called bureaucratic socialism and give content to the shape of socialism which gives initiative, which gives opportunity, and which gives a sense of importance and dignity to the common man. Therefore, our effort should be to eliminate gradually the distinction between the employees and the employer. My point of view and the point of view of the honorable member are so different that we can only meet socially outside. Now, Mr. Chairman, much has been said about foreign capital and foreign technical aid. There are people who are opposed to the employment of foreign capital at all, but no country has been able to do so. We should, however, be able to employ foreign capital without strings attached to them, as we are doing today. So far as foreign technical aid is concerned, we cannot dispense with it. I would like to say that there is a tendency in our country to be content with the second best or the third best. I think that is an unfortunate tendency. We have in the world of technology and in the world of science a great deal to learn from foreign countries. We have to learn a great deal from the United States of America and the Soviet Union, and also from France and other countries, and we should be humble in our approach towards this problem. We should be prepared to give to our managerial staff opportunities of acquiring technical knowledge and technical skill in these countries. I will finish in less than a minute. There is this question which has assumed great importance, namely the question of price control. I know this subject raises some difficult questions. We have to consider the position of the farmer who has been exploited for ages by the people of the cities. But we have also to think of our people in the cities, all of whom are not rich. Many of them have to lead very humble lives, and the rise in prices, the rise in the cost of living, particularly in urban areas, is becoming very high. It is therefore necessary for us to have some system of price control. We should have a price stabilization board which should be able to regulate price in such a manner that they are fair to the farmer and they are also fair to the consumer in the towns. We should eliminate as far as possible the middlemen. Then I should like to say that I am glad that the finance minister has given up deficit financing. But the question which arises is how we shall finance our fourth 5-year plan. Methods must be discovered which would enable the financing.